Hi friends, here on planet Earth, it's Tuesday, April 7th, 2015. Here in the Lynn-Body-Mind, it's me, Ra. We have Glenn in the Jamie-Body-Mind. Other team members above and below, everyone's here. As it comes up, we'll address the names. We are continuing our level 2 day 2 practice session, letting go of the past, trauma release and soul fragment retrieval with whatever comes up. The intention for this healing session is to heal the root causes of the abdominal pains, skin issues, and insufficient financial support for the Jamie-Body-Mind, and whatever those symptoms represent, in such a way as to align with the soul plan and to trigger the awakening. And with that, it begins. Noticing the outside of the bubble. Strong, light, bright, resilient, crackling with light, with love, with electricity. Actually, I'm seeing the bubbles kind of like melting in to the margins of the pillar.
Yeah.
There's like, your pillar is pockmarked is the word.
Yeah,
just true. Pockmarked. What it's pockmarked by is hard to tell, but this has something to do with skin issues. It's contributory to the skin issues, whatever's going on.
That's true.
I see a big central classroom that's spinning around me, and it reminds me of something I saw in the room at Garth's group.
That's true.
And the classroom is spinning. If it's important for us to understand, this will come clear as we progress through the session. And there's a sense of something opening up at the base of the pillar to let out some things that have been held that feel muddy and unnecessary. And these are old, it's like things that we think should be helpful, but they aren't. They aren't helpful, and to let them go. And it's an odd assortment of collections. Some of them seem to be affiliated with, for example, the body-mind. Some of them seem to be affiliated with some of the higher dimension presences who have come and gone through the body-mind. Like, it's like looking at pen knives and wallets and little coins and things that the various occupants have left behind. But there are some that are clearly of the body-mind itself, and then there are some that are wider, a wider sphere. It doesn't seem to be Earth per se, but there are, what is it? What are they from? It's not Saskatch. It might be the nature realms, but it isn't. It might be, it's some elements of Galaxy Wallup at some level or another. And what again I'm being shown are these layers, multidimensional subatomic layers. And so these are some of the dimensions that exist interior of the Jamie-Body-Mind at the subatomic levels. Whole dimensions exist there. And there is a dimension that we saw populated early on, and we called it the happy hunting grounds or something like that. It was that closest settled subatomic level to our own Earth and its environs level. And I'm seeing that level, and I'm seeing someone walking down a road, and the presence isn't unfamiliar, but I don't know who it is, and is counting things like sheep or taxes. So he's just counting things that are mundane things, normal things, and feeling insufficiency. There's not enoughness. And then talking with others and developing a community feeling of not enoughness, whereas before there was a community feeling of adequacy. Now there's a community feeling of not enoughness, which is crazy, because there's actually enough.
That's true.
There is enough. There's just a sense of we should have more. We should have more. And now there's kind of almost like a grumbling attitude forming of we should have more, and this isn't right, and we've been unfairly treated. So we're just kind of helping this energy get vertical again. It started to lean, like watching a wall fall down in slow motion.
That's true.
Or a tower fall down in slow motion, and now we're bringing it back up. And as this tower straightens up, it feels like coins, or feels like coins, start to clink through it again. And as long as we keep our focus on the enoughness of it, more continues to come in, and to say, well, thank goodness I have food to eat today, and I have a good place to live, and how wonderful that is, and what a blessing, and how much more we have than others after all.
That's
Isn't
true.
it an amazing situation? Isn't life wonderful? And as these subatomic levels of our own physical presences start to look up, we can set a better example and start to look up ourselves. I'm looking into the room where Garth's group meets, so I don't know whose eyes I'm looking through, but I start to also say, wait a minute, I can set a better example for my subatomic selves and whoever I am right now.
That's true.
We just start to say, how wonderful that after all I'm still breathing. How wonderful that after all there is still energy flowing through me. How wonderful that after all things are better than they could be. I don't even have a toothache. I'm appreciating my non-toothache right now. And of course all the other non-miseries.
That's true.
And as I appreciate the non-miseries, I come more and more into alignment with well-being, and this thing that's in my abdomen, and it looks kind of like a big log or branch that's kind of stuck sideways to the flow of the current, and it's almost like stuck sideways in my intestines. Does that make sense? And then it's clogging things. Not helpful. Just gently doing this for all of us, feeling this thing. It's a big log that has been a problem, and they're making some kind of reference to a biblical statement, and it's about talking about the mote in someone else's eye when we have a log in our own. And this log is somehow what's passing through the intestines right now, the log of our own eye that we're digesting. You see, we're digesting our own log, which is part of the process of evolution.
Yes, it's true.
Is that we come to pluck out the logs that are in our eyes, and we digest them. We take them apart. We get the lessons from them. That's what digestion represents.
Yes.
Take from it everything that's valuable and let go of that which is no longer helpful to anyone. So now we can just take this log of the lesson, and I'm not sure what the lesson is. I do have to know what it is, because there's some sadness affiliated with this
That's
tree.
true.
This tree has carvings on it, like Joey Loves Susie, Bill, just silly, crazy things that people do and think it's okay to carve on trees.
That's true.
Not realizing that they wouldn't like it very much if someone carved on them.
That's true.
And again, I have the sensation of feelings of digesting this log, and it has to do with realizing how similar we all are after all. How we all have the same root desires. We all wish to be happy. And the question is how to accomplish that. Right?
That's true.
It's more like a tree than a log, because it still has its branches
That's
on
true.
it. This tree is moving through us more and more effectively. How may I be of service right now to align all the presences affiliated with the Jamie Body-Mind with their soul plans, including the Jamie Body-Mind itself. Again, I'm brought to that subatomic dimension beneath this one,
Yeah.
beneath Earth, and this feeling of I don't know who this person is. It's a familiar person, but I don't get the identification yet. But it's clear that what we're supposed to do is use our practice, exercise of converting the grace into spendable currency for that level. Like the grace is moving through this hopper, the grace that higher dimension beings are donating to the cause of the subatomic awakening. That's how they think of it. And we see how roughly a third of it is to come to Earth and its environs, and roughly 2/3 go to deeper subatomic levels, and maybe a third of that 2/3 is should be coming to this person down in that subatomic level, and he or she feels kind of male.
Yeah, that's
feels
true.
like, where's my money?
That's true.
So give us just a moment. Let's see what we can do. So I have the flow of grace money, money in the non-physical. I'm merging with it, asking for permission to merge, and it's very excited. And
That's true.
would you like to get down into the physical and fulfill your purpose? Of course, yes, very much. Let me see what I can do about that. Merging. Let's go down into that subatomic level, and I have the feeling of falling down and hitting on my butt on that kind of. It's a sunny and almost arid climate. It's dry. It's not humid.
That's true.
And it's not green.
No.
It's arid countryside, and that guy looks really kind of surprised to see me, and I'm sitting up and looking around, and there is some stuff around me. It doesn't look as money-like as I'd hoped it would. Let me see if I can do that better. It seems to be turning into like plants. I'm planting a garden for him. He was expecting it to look different, but he doesn't seem unhappy with it.
No.
Trying to find the source of the sadness. Seems to be the sadness of the communication that isn't there. There's supposed to be like a living, sentient presence of communication between the dimensions that isn't there, and that thing wants to be kind of like born. It wants to be born. Okay. Well, I'm waiving my learner's permit. There's some kind of link or portal opening up wider between the dimension that we're aware of on a daily basis in the 3D physical dimension sense, and this dimension of subatomic presences to the earthly dimension, and awareness. And I start to, it's kind of like I can see everywhere. I can see, for example, in the wall behind us, cities and presences, and I can see in the grains of sand in the yard other cities and towns. It's just presence, life presence everywhere, layer upon layer. What do I know? The foundational assignment is to be a working portal between dimensions. That's right. Okay, so we just hold the space then. We become this portal and allow the communication, the energy to flow through us in a happy golden way. And I feel very much like I'm just holding a circular opening between two dimensions. It really does feel like holding.
That's true.
Yeah. And breath is moving back and forth. And there are lots of metaphors being used, like osmosis and like the placental barrier, quote unquote. Lots of places where there are connections, places that things come together, that living presences come together. Tidal communities where sometimes it's dry and sometimes it's wet, depending on how high the tide is, etc. The places of interchange and overlap. What's happening with the pain?
The pain in the stomach is gone.
It becomes the assignment. at a certain point, to just actually be a portal and to allow that which is necessary to pass through. Old buried treasure looking chests but they're errors of thinking, perhaps errors of thinking, and it's of a multitude, perhaps of this lower subatomic level, the one right beneath Earth and its environs.
Right.
There's many thoughts here about cycles of famine and drought.
Yes, that's
and
true.
they claim by this for good reasons, because of the way the non-physical traffic turns on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, lack of consistency in the flow of non-physical energy creates cycles of drought and famine. It actually does.
That's true.
It actually does. If we can regulate the flow, and Asha is up there and I see her, she's working on keeping a regulated flow.
That's true.
Consistent. It's much better to have a consistent, smaller flow than to have these cycles of big flow and no flow, big flow and no flow.
That's true.
So we're attempting to regulate this flow so that there's something dependable here. And if that becomes something that the populace here can buy into, then there'll be the phenomenon of the loaves and fishes, where everyone stops hoarding 2 years worth of living expenses in the back room, and they are simply sharing that which is available for the common good. So we're going to ask for angels who know exactly what to do to come make this right. Boom, and now there's a bunch of trauma that is now accessible, and I can just very quickly draw it out. These are the traumas of all the times where the spigot turned off and the gardens that were planted and tended died overnight because the rain stopped. Not overnight, but died that month because the rain stopped.
That's
the
true.
crops failed, everything fell apart, and then people shake their fists at the sky and curse God, quote unquote. Wow, huge shift there. Sensation of the world turning upside down. It's like pulling out all the anger that of this whole dimension that has occurred as the spigot has turned on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. Oh, sorry. Pulling this up through us and around us, asking for beings of the light, angels who know exactly what to do to help us clear this trauma. And now here comes a bunch of soul energy, and I'm just going to create like a cornucopia filtration system because we're out of time. And so we'll just start to draw the soul energy through this soul filtration system, watching it get more and more pure, more and more pure, more and more pure. Would you like your soul energy back?
Yes.
Yes, more and more pure. This feels like soul energy of that subatomic level. Oh, and I see it. It's the skin also. This is somehow associated with the skin in a way that's unclear to me. There goes the secondary release. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now going for the close. Tuning, emissions to be included. Whoa! There's big blub, 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 blub. Again, it's all at that subatomic level. Blub, 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 blub. It's huge. It's confusion and not knowing what to do and not understanding why there's cycles of famine and drought. You know, why is this occurring? Feeling that God is manipulative or cruel or something like that. It's just blubbing up, playing the grace. Tuning to perfect pitch of the higher souls destined to occupy. Whoa! There's a lot of non-physical presences that just kind of go whoop down into that subatomic level.
That's true.
Wow. Wrapping and stretching the work, I'm handing it right up through. It goes right up through that central tube in Garth's group's room, and it's like I can see it go up through their room and up through that. I'm just going to pull it's kind of like pulling the bowstring back and shooting it up. I see a new hand get it. It's a female hand. It really is a female hand. She's rolling it out on the desk and comparing it to something to see the checklist beginning. Okay.